Holmes gets a coded message from Porlock, a nervous informant who only writes when something serious is about to happen. The message isn't complete, but Holmes manages to pull one clear idea out of it. A man named John Douglas is in danger. He starts working on the rest, trying to decode it fully, but he doesn't get the time, because before he can act, the situation resolves itself in the worst possible way. John Douglas is already dead. Inspector MacDonald arrives soon after, confirming the murder, and within hours, Holmes, Watson, and MacDonald are on their way to Burlstone Manor to investigate. The moment they see the place, something feels off. The house isn't just a house, it's built like a defense system. There's a moat surrounding it, and every night, the drawbridge is raised, cutting it off completely from the outside world, which immediately creates a problem. If no one can get in, then how did someone get in? Commit a murder and leave. Inside, they're met by Cecil Barker, Douglas's closest friend, and Mrs. Douglas. Barker walks them through what happened. He heard a gunshot, ran to the room, and found Douglas already dead on the floor. Holmes steps in to take a look, and it's clear this wasn't subtle. Douglas was shot in the face at close range with a shotgun. The damage is so severe that identification is almost impossible. But the killer didn't just leave a body behind. There's a small card placed near it. VV341. No explanation, no context, just something that clearly meant something to someone. Then Holmes notices something else. Douglas's wedding ring is missing, and that detail sticks because nothing else has been taken. No valuables, no signs of theft, just the ring. Outside, the evidence seems to support a simple explanation. There are footprints, there's a bicycle hidden nearby. Everything suggests someone came in, did the job, and escaped. But Holmes doesn't like simple explanations when they're too clean. The drawbridge was raised that night. The house was locked down. No one saw anything. No one heard anything beyond the single shot. And the people inside, the ones who should be helping, feel like they're holding something back. Barker answers questions, but only just enough. Mrs. Douglas behaves the same way. They're not lying outright, but they're carefully controlling what they say, which tells Holmes more than honesty would, so he keeps digging. And then he notices something small, a pair of dumbbells, but only one is there. The other is missing. On its own, it's nothing. But in the middle of everything else, it's exactly the kind of detail that matters. That's when Holmes changes direction. Instead of trying to prove how the killer got in, he starts questioning something more basic. What if the scene itself isn't real? What if the body isn't John Douglas? It sounds unlikely, but the more he looks, the more it fits. So he pushes, and eventually, the truth steps out. Literally, John Douglas is alive. The man on the floor wasn't him. It was someone else. Someone who came there to kill him. At that point, Douglas knows there's no point hiding it anymore. So he explains everything. For years, he's been hunted. Not by one man, but by an entire group, organized, patient, and completely unwilling to let things go. He's been moving, changing locations, trying to stay ahead of them. And eventually, one of them found him. That night at Burlstone, the man came in armed and ready, but Douglas reacted first. He killed him before he could be killed, and then he made a decision. Instead of reporting it, he used it. He swapped clothes with the body, set up the scene, removed the ring to make identification harder, and turned the entire situation into a lie that looked real. If everyone believed he was dead, maybe the people chasing him would stop. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than waiting for the next attempt. Now the case isn't about a murder anymore. It's about why someone would go that far just to disappear. So Holmes asks the obvious question, who's chasing you? And that's where everything really starts. Vermissa Valley, a mining town, dirty, loud, and completely controlled, not by police, but by the Scours. Everyone knows it, no one says it. If they want you gone, you're gone. If they want your business, it's theirs. If you cause trouble, you don't get a second warning. So when McMurdo shows up, he doesn't try to stay clean. That wouldn't work here. Instead, he does the opposite. In the first few days, he starts talking. Not openly, just enough. He drops hints about Chicago, about trouble, about knowing how things work. Nothing specific, just enough for the right people to notice. And they do, not immediately. It takes a few days. People watch first who he talks to, how he reacts, whether he drinks too much, whether he talks too much. He doesn't. That's what makes it work. One night, someone asks him directly, who are you? McMurdo doesn't dodge. He gives a straight answer, but not a full one. Says he's done things, says he had to leave, doesn't apologize for it. That's important. In Vermissa Valley, guilt is suspicious. Confidence isn't. They don't invite him in right away. First, they test him. Small things at first. Carry a message across town. Deliver it without asking questions. He does. Then something slightly worse. Pass along a warning to someone who's already in trouble. He does that too. Then they push a bit harder. Put him in a room where something is about to happen and watch how he reacts. He doesn't interfere. Doesn't flinch either. That's what they're looking for. Not just obedience, control. He passes every step. And every time he passes, they give him a little more access, a little more trust. Then comes the lodge. Officially, it's just a group. Meetings, rules, structure. In reality, it's the control room. Everything goes through it. Who gets pressured, who gets protected, who disappears. All decided here. He's brought in and goes through the initiation, oaths, signals, all of it. Half ritual, half warning. They're not asking if you're loyal. They're making sure you're trapped. Because once you know the system, you can't leave it. Not alive. McMurdo understands that and joins anyway. From there, he doesn't sit back. That would make him forgettable. And forgettable doesn't get access. So he works. He shows up early, stays after meetings, helps where he can without being asked. He listens more than he talks. He maps the room. Who speaks first, who interrupts, who gets ignored. Very quickly, one name stands out. McGinty. Boss? Everyone checks his reaction before they commit anything. McMurdo notices something else too. People don't just respect him, they're careful around him. That's different. So McMurdo adjusts. When he talks to McGinty, he keeps it direct. No jokes, no extra words. Answers clean, short, useful. He never challenges him in public. Once, he corrects someone else instead, subtly backing McGinty without saying outright. McGinty notices that. That's the moment things shift. Now McMurdo isn't just another recruit, he's someone worth watching, which leads to more responsibility. Now McMurdo starts getting pulled into actual work. Not rumors, real jobs. He's there when they plan. Who the target is, when it happens, who goes. He starts seeing patterns. Certain men always chosen for certain tasks. Certain jobs always approved faster than others. And he memorizes all of it. At the same time, he's expected to contribute, suggestions, timing, sometimes even execution. And this is where it gets tight, because he has to be useful enough to stay trusted, but not so involved that he crosses a line he can't come back from. He walks that line constantly. One job, he suggests delaying by a day, gives a reason that sounds practical, it works. What they don't know is that delay prevents something worse. worse. Another time, he volunteers for something, then redirects it at the last second. Always small changes. Never big enough to stand out, but enough to control the damage. And while all that's happening, he's doing two things at once. Outwardly, he's becoming one of them. Inwardly, he's building the case. No notes, no paper, just memory, names, dates, patterns. He starts linking people together. Who reports to who only shows up for certain jobs, who avoids others. He builds the whole structure in his head, layer by layer. And the deeper he goes, the more they trust him. That's the dangerous part, because now he's not just around the group. He's inside the core, sitting in smaller meetings, fewer people, more important decisions, less room for mistakes. At one point, McGinty asks his opinion directly, in front of others. That's not normal. McMurdo answers carefully. Not too strong, not too weak, just useful. That's all he needs to be. From that point on, they start relying on him, sending him instead of others, letting him handle things. That's when you know he's gone far enough, maybe too far. Because now, if anything goes wrong, he's not just involved, he's responsible. Then Eddie comes in, and this is where things shift, because she's outside all of this. No lodge, no violence, no fear, and she trusts him immediately, which is a problem, because he's lying to everyone, including her. He tries to keep distance, keeps conversations short, doesn't promise anything, but she keeps showing up, and eventually, he stops pushing her away. Now, there's something real in the middle of all this, which makes every decision heavier, because now failure doesn't just cost him, it costs her too. At the same time, inside the lodge, things are getting messy. More jobs, less planning, people start assuming things will work out. That's when mistakes happen. McMurdo sees early, conversations get sloppy, names said too loudly, plans discussed too openly. They think they're untouchable. That's the moment he's been waiting for. So he starts pushing carefully. He doesn't suggest big moves. He guides conversations, asks the right questions, gets people thinking in the same direction, and slowly one idea forms. They need to deal with a problem, an internal one, a sigh. He introduces it carefully, not as a claim, but as a concern. That's what makes it stick. Now everyone's thinking about it, watching each other. Trust drops instantly. That's what he needs, because now he controls the tension. He feeds it just enough to keep it alive, then offers the solution. A meeting, private, important members only, no distractions. They agree faster than he expected. That's how confident they are. Night comes. Before he walks in, everything is already in place. Police are ready, position set, timing fixed. Inside, nothing feels different. Same room, same faces, McGinty at the center. They're expecting a name, someone to punish. McMurdo steps forward. No long speech, no setup. He just says it. He's the spy. For a split second, no one moves. Then it breaks. Chairs shift. Hands go to weapons. Too late. Doors hit. Police flood in. Every exit covered. Windows locked. No confusion on their side. They knew exactly where to go. It's over before the Scours can organize anything. Leaders first, McGinty included, pulled out, restrained, finished. The rest follow. No escape, no second chance. And just like that, the entire structure collapses, because it was never as strong as it looked. It just looked that way from the outside. After that, everything speeds up. Trials, witnesses, evidence, most of it coming from Edwards. Names connect, crimes stack, sentences come fast, executions follow. The valley changes almost overnight, but not completely. A few get away, and those few matter, because they don't scatter, they don't forget. They remember one thing: the man who walked into their world and broke it from the inside. Bertie Edwards, which means he can't stop. He disappears immediately. New name, John Douglas. Leaves the country, cuts every connection, starts again. Different place, different life, and for a while, it works. Quiet, normal, safe almost. Long enough to think he made it out, but he didn't, because people like that don't give up. They wait. They follow traces, old contacts, old rumors, and slowly they close the distance until one day they're back. In the end, the Valley of Fear isn't just a story about crime. It's about consequences that refuse to stay buried. The Scours fall quickly, almost shockingly so. An empire that once ruled through fear collapses in a single decisive moment. It proves something important. Power built on violence and secrecy isn't as unbreakable as it seems. But the real story doesn't end with their downfall, because while justice is served, it isn't complete. A few survive, and those survivors carry something stronger than fear, memory, and revenge. Bertie Edwards escapes, becomes John Douglas, and tries to leave that world behind. For a while, he succeeds. He builds a new life, finds peace, almost convinces himself he's free. But the past doesn't disappear. It waits, it follows, and eventually it finds him.